We have Mountasir, a man, a.k.a. Juba Jonez. Juba Jonez, a.k.a. Mountasir Badawi, resides in Washington, D.C. Since the tender age of 13, he's been writing, so that gives him just enough experience to get an entry job as a poet. His influences range from RZA to Rumi, although he insists he sounds like neither of them. As far as his LinkedIn profile will tell you, he's had several summer internships in D.C. government, as well as a semester interning with Islamic Relief up the road in Alexandria. Shout out Islamic Relief. He's also a former MSA president at Morgan State and the founder of Fahimi African Languages Club at the University of Maryland, where he still haunts the Musalla. Currently, he is an English instructor in downtown D.C. and runs an Instagram at Juba Jonez and a WordPress page, www.justice-ubiquity-belonging-acceptance.wordpress.com, where he primarily disseminates his works, which aren't limited to poetry, by the way. Juba, J-U-B-A, is an acronym for Justice, Ubiquity, Belonging, Acceptance, as these are themes that appear in his work. Now here he is in the flesh, Juba Jonez.
At times I mute the group chat so they forget I exist. For some alone time away from what distraction permits. All the opportunity that I forget that I missed. I don't give my life story enough credit. I forget I persist. My name is Juba Jonez, everyone. So I'm going to be performing two poems. These are very different subject matters, so I have to introduce both of them. This first one is called Autism is a Construct. So, very quick story behind it. I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and we were talking about how what was formerly considered genius would now be demonized because it's not socially acceptable. So these are my thoughts on this subject matter. Autism is a construct, as he's construct up a gold mine by smelting peak intelligence into a bleak paradigm. The person becomes a prism, then a prison to bear in mind, as a therapist is making a fortune from the parent's time. If you're childishly optimistic and are fascinated by the simplistic, healthcare professionals can't take your characteristics and find a box to fit it. Real St. Elizabeth-ish, they call you autistic. It makes me ballistic because your gift is a disease to the sadistic. You are given innocence unrattled, unabound. Floating in your own world, we don't even realize we should be jealous on the ground. As you're not the error, we're just errant. We burn out the introverts with the spotlight of the arrogant, never a microscope. Studies only conducted between pharmaceutical and clinical buddies. Unlike you, it's easy for them to make friends because they're predators with narcissistic ends. You avert gazes and don't enjoy being in close quarters. But when you get in your element, folks praise your disorders. When you play the violin, it makes those old hags want to cry again. You're doing trigonometry when knowing geometry makes your peers have to try again. You heard blue, you saw spring bloom, avoiding the light because it upsets you and the temperament of the room. It's a spectrum of speculation. They justify your orientation as a straw man for their own frustration. Another day, another time, your mind will be met with something besides subordination. Sundiata was lame as a kid, but his legs would soon support a nation. Searching for a cure for Asperger's when the normies are committing suicide via hamburgers. Tell me which syndrome equates to more murders. Autism is a construct. These construct up a gold mine by smelting peak intelligence into a bleak paradigm. The person becomes a prism and a prison to bear in mind, as a therapist is making a fortune from the parent's time. This next one, some people may be a little bit upset by this. It's called Kulukum Ra'in. So, backstory on this one. In a masjid in Texas, there was a bit of a controversy that took place there. And the thing that upset me was not so much that a controversy happened, but that the cover-up happened. And that there are certain sicknesses that the Muslim community, especially in America, isn't immune to. So I wrote a poem to call all of it out. Bismillah. Kulukum ra'in. Don't make this deen rotten. Strengthen the ranks. don't let your heart soften. Our model community is based on the Christians and the Jews, but these were people who refused. We don't base our ummah on the prophet. We're busy trying to make sajda on top of pews. I can't even give dawah like what used to be the norm. Whites don't respect us, Hispanics aren't informed, black folk are with us, they simply need us to perform. But nah, we want to embrace every low-lying branch. We don't see contradiction as what it is, instead it's a chance. And it's not as simple as families not acculturating yet, because everybody's trying to bring over back home when back home is wrecked. I'm exhausted. We have the pulse of the youth, but the masjids have lost it. If Iman was based on practitioners, I would have tossed it. Y'all making this too easy for Shaitan. You throw out a soul. The devil has mossed it. And we take men as gods. We're taught to be afraid of the facade, so we don't worry about the facade. Allah tells us not to fear or even obey a kafir. We doubt our own books, quote the testaments in the Quran after. That's not a cheer, that's laughter. What am I inviting folks to? Islam or a disaster? Kulukum ra'in. Don't make this deen rotten. Strengthen the ranks. Don't let your heart soften. Kulukum ra'in. Don't make this deen rotten. Strengthen the ranks. Don't let your heart soften. My name is Juba Jonez.